Hello everyone, it's Friday. Yes, we're here. Fear not, the world may be crumbling, Tony. People are running around with their hair on fire, and for once it's not to do with the lack of players Celtic are signing. The world may be ending. People can't use their cards. I think Apple Pay's off. It was certainly off for me at the supermarket earlier. The stock exchange is down, did I read? Sky Sports News isn't working, but we're still here, Tony.
Yep, exactly. The show must go on, Hamish. No technical glitches here, so we will speak about our favourite subject, the leather belts, for as long as we can before the world crumbles and it ends, or something happens and takes us off the screen. So, hello everybody, we're still here. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and we do have a signing to talk about as well. Kasper Schmeichel, as you will all know, was announced as a Celtic player yesterday. There's been a bit of Instagram activity, I believe. Some big names were liking his post. James Maddison commented, if you're into that kind of thing. Tony, I'm trying to now think of other names, big names that commented. The fella Højlund from Man United is obviously his Danish teammate. No word from Joe Hart yet, but I'm sure he'll be buzzing. But we can talk about that. But also, as you can see, I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on just general Celtic stuff at the moment, because I'll be honest, there's not like a great deal of kind of new rumours to talk about, and I don't know if we've got another 10 minutes on Adam Ida. Will we sign him, won't we sign him? Because I feel like we've done that every day. If someone asks that and there's a new angle we can go down, we'll do it, Tony, but I think we'd like the wonderful viewers' help today as well.
Indeed, yes, get your questions coming in. Me and Hamish will do our best to answer them, your thoughts on the window and stuff. But in relation to Kasper Schmeichel, you probably saw it, Hamish, or if you didn't, I'll read it out. I celebrated in verse on Twitter.
Right, I didn't see that.
A wee rhyme.
Okay.
Which the goalie Dane, he's on the plane to succeed Joe Hart. Kasper still looks the part. It's another top signing for the Celtic fans. Now give us Adam Ida and a bag of cans. That's what I said, Hamish. I put that out on Twitter, and it got some kind of engagement from punters out there.
Very good.
I'll have a wee laugh with that. A wee rhyme.
How long did that take you?
About 2 minutes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 2 hours there.
It was in my head. So, plus the wee emojis were for like Dane, and on the plane had the plane going to America, Danish flag and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was kind of football's worst secret, wasn't it, that Kasper Schmeichel was going to sign for Celtic? But it's just good to get him in. Signed a year with a year option, I'm led to believe, and as you say, there's lots of interest around it, and I think he's obviously been speaking to Joe Hart, because he said the right things, hasn't he? It's a dream come true to play for a club with.
You could have attributed those quotes to Joe Hart. Yeah.
I think Joe Hart probably said, "Say this," and ingratiate yourself straight away. But he's worked with the manager before, so it's a big tick, isn't it? And you just are. You said there you don't want to go over the same ground, and we certainly don't. But you just wanted to move on now, don't you? Goalkeepers were stopped for. That's great. Let's ramp it up a big bit and get some players in over this tour. And if it's those players that have already been said, then fine. I still keep reading the Celtic are going to stand still if they bring in the two players that we all think are supposedly coming, Adam Ida and Paulo Bernardo. Fed up reading that as well. Everybody has their own opinion on it. We gave our opinions on it yesterday, but I'd still like them to see. We spoke about centre back, left backs. I'd still like to see them now really kind of, hit the ground running in terms. They've got the first game against DC United on Saturday, early hours of Saturday morning, haven't they? So
early hours of Sunday morning.
Sunday morning, yeah. So looking forward to that. But as you just told me off air, Christian Benteke plays for DC United, so it might be one of those kind of close pre-season friendlies where you're watching it like, oops. But hey, I guess that would highlight the fact if he does run riot and he plays, that you would need defenders.
Yeah. I mean, we had that last year, didn't we, in Yokohama? So obviously pre-season the result doesn't massively matter, but I could see something similar in terms of quite a high-scoring game on Saturday night / Sunday morning.
Yes.
It's a really awkward time because you don't really want to call it Sunday, because then you get you have the fear that people will wake up on Sunday morning and go, right, when's the game? You missed it. But equally, it's technically not Saturday night, so we need to just find a way to. I've just been saying this weekend we're playing DC United, but
the early hours, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But
should
I'm
be
looking
good.
forward to that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, I have to say. So I just feel that this is when pre-season kicks in. I feel that this is the start of Celtic's pre-season. I'm not discounting the two friendlies against Ayr United or Queen's Park, but I just feel this is it. It's starting proper, and your preparation is really going to, as I say, ratchet up a notch or two. So that's why I'm hoping that they bring in players, because you're obviously playing top quality opposition starting from the weekend.
Yeah. Morning, everyone. By the way, I don't say that every morning, but it's good to have you with us for the final one of these this week. Before we dive into the real chat and your questions, etc., let's just take a quick moment for a word from our sponsor. If you're looking for a winning heating solution for your home, MPH Boilers are your go-to team. They're award-winning, they're family-run, and they serve all of mainland Scotland. They've teamed up with Weissman as well, who are known for their top-notch German-engineered boilers, making it the perfect match. So visit www.mphboilers.co.uk for more details. And we've got this running, Tony.
Yeah, it's a chance to win a signed 2023-24 Celtic home shirt in the frame, signed by all the team. And all you have to do is hit that subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And before you ask, yes, in small print there under subscribe now.
Very small print.
Yes, all existing subscribers are automatically entered into that draw. So it's between the 18th and the 30th of July. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you do, you'll get the introductory of £1 for 6 months of access. But if you're already a subscriber, you're in that draw anyway. Lovely prize from the double winning side of last season, signed by all the Celtic players and the manager. So get yourself into the draw for that. And as I always say, we always ask people to subscribe anyway. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. You get 6 months of access for £1 for some, we believe, is some top quality journalism covering the club that you love. It's up to you guys to make your mind up on that, but we certainly think it's great value for money.
Certainly is, and I'm kind of unbiased because I don't actually write, I just talk, and the stuff that goes up is great. Just when you're talking about autographs, I promise we'll get onto your questions in a minute, but I'll fire one back at all of you and Tony as well. You ever had any famous autographs over your years? Who would your most famous autograph be? It's a good question, isn't it?
It's a brilliant question, and do you know what? And you're probably going to dislike me for this, not dislike me, but I've never been an autograph hunter. No, it's always up here for me, and I just press a wee button in my head. And it's like a Polaroid camera. I can remember the moment, and because of that, and all my football experiences, I kind of wrote them down in the 2 books that I did, and I'm hopefully maybe going to write a 3rd book, and that's my way of kind of getting it out there. But lots of people collect memorabilia and all that. Apart from the top that was presented to me by the boys. When I left today, I don't really have any kind of memorabilia. It's never really been my thing. I don't. It's up to each individual. Lots of people hold stuff and all that, and I've given stuff away, and I always think when you ask somebody for an autograph, and then you think to yourself, what am I going to do with it? Unless you put it in a book.
It
goes in a drawer, and then later on you pull it out of the drawer and you say, whose autograph's that? And you can't. It's indecipherable. You know what I mean? And then the only other autograph is, you say, if you talk about an autograph, Henrik Larsson signed the pull-out for me, which is pretty special to me, because I described all 242 of his goals. And that was a kind of, I had that kind of dilemma. It was a now or never moment. And I was actually sitting with the comedian Des McLean, and he says to me, you will kick yourself if you walk out this building and you don't get him to sign that. And I had the pen, and I think I've told it before, I just used Big Alan Stubbs. And I kind of, you get halfway my mate type style, I just up and said, Alan, can you introduce me to that guy there? And then I showed him it, and he signed all the pages. So, I've never been that one for that hero worship, to take it that way. And it's probably a lot to do with the job that you do, Hamish.
Yeah, there has to be a level of kind of professionalism, doesn't there?
And I've always been like that, and because even the time when when I met Maradona and I got the picture taken with him, the guy behind me, Ronnie Mackay, who sadly is no longer with us, he works for the Sun, and I'll always remember it was Ronnie's hero as well. And Ronnie was like Harpo Marx. He pulled out like books and football strips and handed him a pen. And he had an autograph book. He got Maradona to sign all that. And people in hindsight say, "Do you know why she'd done the same thing?" And I'm like, "No, I've got the most imperfect photo of a perfect 10." And it's still in there, and I wrote the chapter about it. So I'm happy with that. What about yourself? What's your most famous autograph, if you have one?
Well, I went through a phase when I was younger where I'd go outside Celtic Park after games, and especially the European games. I think they've changed it slightly now, but you used to be able to get kind of up close, and the players would come out, and you'd be kind of standing on the outside, and you'd maybe shout them over. And Kaka once after one of the games, I can't remember if it was a 0-0 Milan game or the one we beat them 2-1. It might have been the 0-0 game. Because he probably wouldn't have stopped after a defeat, but he came out and signed my wee autograph book and ruffled my hair, and I didn't wash for about 6 months after that, Tony, because I absolutely loved Kaka back in the day, even when he was he tore us apart for that goal when I maintained Neil Lennon should have hauled him down 80 yards from goal, but it was just genius from Kaka. Such a shame that he never really, at Real Madrid kicked on and really became one of football's greatest players ever, because I really think he was at that level for a few years. But yeah, he'd be up there. I think nowadays, autographs, you still see some people getting them, but it seems to be the old selfie these days.
Selfies in the autograph, isn't it? Guys, get your comments coming in, famous autographs or selfies. I think
we had Paul McStay, Danny McGrain, Sean saying Danny McGrain.
Danny presented me with my first ever medal, and I've got pictures of it beside my brother for Carton Wanderers of East Kilbride.
Brilliant.
Under nines or something. There's old pictures of me standing, and I positioned myself right beside Danny because he was the legend. I think I'm kind of awestruck by Danny McGrain, but I wouldn't be the last to. But but in terms of that, I think the profession makes you shed that, doesn't it? But I've still had that nervousness, Hamish, when you're dialing the number for famous players like Kenny Dalglish and stuff like that. I've had a couple. I had the couple of finger dial-ups, like that, hit the buttons, then you hit the red phone and all that kind of stuff. You're just like, I want to be in the right frame of mind. So I've had that, but that was very early on in my career, and I realised, I need to get over this kind of thing. But I think that's kind of natural, isn't it? And you kind of develop your own journalistic voice and journalistic personality, and you realise that they'll talk to you if they want to. If they don't, then it's nothing to do with you personally, So I got to. You learn that the hard way, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Sam saying get Lubo and got Lubo in Edinburgh Airport, and Cell 88 trying to get Peter Law's autograph in a player's contract is hard. That probably leads us on nicely. We may return to that kind of chat if we get some comments in. But as we say, Kasper Schmeichel's in, Tony, and he's delighted. Brendan Rodgers' comments on it I thought were probably more interesting than Schmeichel's himself, and he said he's a real quality keeper and someone with the ability and personality to be great for us, which I think is interesting. And also, he is a guy I trust and someone who knows how to win. Things you may just have assumed would be the case anyway, but Brendan Rodgers trusts Kasper Schmeichel, which I think is very important because he trusted Joe Hart, so it was important that who we got in, he trusted the goalkeeper, and also the fact he says that Kasper Schmeichel has the personality to be big at Celtic.
That leaps out at you, doesn't it? Brendan Rodgers has clearly thought about this long and hard, because we've been linked with all on Sunday in terms of goalkeeping, and Brendan Rodgers trusts this guy, he knows this guy, the stars have aligned, his contracts ran down at Anderlecht, and he's thought, he'll do me a turn. And we've spoken about this over the past couple of days, and John Hughes also said it, and I agree, that there's a real Joe Hart vibe to this, isn't there? Now, I know he's 37, lots of people are unhappy about that, but you could conceivably see Kasper Schmeichel playing till he's 40 or into his 40s with Celtic, but also helping Sinazalo in that time, so that when Sinazalo, eventually comes to take over the gloves, he is the finished article. He'll be that big personality. He'll be the one that drives the standards in the dressing room, sets a high bar. And I think Brendan Rodgers is big on personalities and people, isn't he? And players being good people. I trust that implicitly. I really do. And I don't care about age. Dino Zoff won the World Cup when he was 40 with Italy. If you can still kick it, you can still kick it. And if the manager thinks that this goalkeeper can still, play at a high level, he's just finished from the Euros with Denmark, who lost in the last 16, I believe. So he clearly can still do it. And I think this will give Kasper Schmeichel a new lease of life, career-wise, the same way it did with Joe Hart. It will ignite a spark underneath him. And as you said, Kasper Schmeichel's comments, you could have substituted Joe Hart 3 years ago, couldn't you? Because the two of them will have clearly spoken. They're good friends. And you'll have said to him, listen, you'll love it. Go and live that experience which I've just lived through, and come back to me and we'll compare notes whenever you decide to call it a day. So I just think it's a win-win. I think you'll get somebody who will revitalise his career and get some success, or even more success to add to what's he won, the English Premier League, the FA Cup and Charity Shield. So I think you'll get more medals, more silverware to end off his career, and I think that's a challenge for him as well, and he'll also play in this new Champions League competition. So I can understand why he thinks it's a dream, because he's 37 years of age, and sometimes people think you're winding down. He's probably going to wind his career back up, isn't he?
Yeah. And listen, he's not had the same dip as Joe Hart, in terms of, like, Joe Hart was obviously he's spoken openly about being in a kind of a place with football where he kind of felt like it was his last chance at Celtic, and I think, we were amazing for Joe Hart. He was great for us as well. Schmeichel is slightly different, I guess, but also similar in many ways, and I think we will probably be his final club. Whether that's 1, 2 or 3 years. We got a comment in there, Paul, just wondering about the lack of a mention of the 1 year option. There wasn't anything from that in the Celtic statement. I don't think that's the kind of thing Celtic would put ever really in a statement. I may be wrong, we might have done it in the past, but I feel like there will be a 1 year option, but that's just something that the club wouldn't say publicly. But we'll probably get to a stage, if it all goes well with Kasper Schmeichel, which I think it will this season, where we just renew him for another year. Yeah,
it's a safeguard, isn't it? Protect the player and the club, so, but I think to all intents and purposes everybody knew it was a year with a year option, wasn't it?
Yeah. So pleased to get him in, and pleased that Brendan Rodgers has someone. And a few people commenting on Stevie Woods and the fact that he'll have felt pretty spoiled over the last 5 years with some of the goalkeepers. I mean, seriously though, Joe Hart, and there's been a lot of good goalkeepers over the year and over the past 20 years or so, and I'm not saying Joe Hart or Kasper Schmeichel are like up with like Buffon or Casillas or anyone like that, but in terms of like being quite well known and being known to be good professionals and having really long successful careers in the English game, there's not too many that would rank higher than people like Schmeichel and Hart.
No, and as you say, the contributor said there, Stevie Woods must love his job, but he takes it seriously as well, because they all credit him for bringing on their game after their work with Stevie Woods. So he's obviously very good at it. And in terms of profile, if you'd have said to me a few years ago that Celtic would sign the likes of Joe Hart and Kasper Schmeichel, I would have had a laugh at you. You would have laughed.
Yeah.
You'd been like, no chance. Because bearing in mind, Kasper Schmeichel is still the Danish international number one.
Yeah. And the guy we were interested in, Peter Vindal Jensen, he's ahead of him in the pecking order. So
I'm delighted with that, as I say. And if he does half of what Joe Hart did, or achieves half of what Joe Hart did, then Celtic will have won another watch. But they've been genuinely very good at plucking out goalkeepers in the past. So here's hoping that it's a kind of seamless transition, and you've got the feeling that it will be. got the feeling that we've got him at an actual decent time in his career, because it's the same with Joe. Joe's kind of at a low ebb. I know the circumstances are different with Casper, but he's older. But I just think once you come to Celtic, Joe Hart reluctantly left, but he was saying it was the right time. But Joe Hart wishes he was here 5-6 years ago. You know, and they all might have everybody. Chris Sutton's always said it to people who continually knock the Scottish game: don't knock it till you've tried it. You know, and Celtic at this moment in time are a real viable option for players coming from down south to north of the border. They really should give it serious consideration, because there's a lot to like about Celtic at this moment in time if they're fortunate enough to be linked with Celtic and Celtic follow it through and want them to sign. And that's, you know, and inevitably when they come up, they love it, because they experience something that they will never experience again in their career. That hero worship, that passion. And, you know, when Joe Hart finished and he went on to one of the podcasts, was it Jake, whose second name escapes me?
Humphrey.
Yeah, Jake Humphrey. And he said that's a proper football club, and they celebrate every success like it's their first. I mean, this is an alien concept to a lot of footballers, and they love it, they enjoy it, because they embrace it and they see it for what it is. It's a special time in their careers. And you know, the likes of Henrik Larsson, who we spoke about earlier, he waxes lyrical about Celtic. Virgil van Dijk always waxes lyrical about Celtic. Once this club touches you, it never leaves you. You become a fan, basically, because you will never experience a feeling like it, putting a smile on so many people's faces, not just the home support in Glasgow, but everywhere around the world. You know, we were talking about that yesterday, that global appeal of Celtic. Wherever these players go, there'll be a Celtic supporter will jump out and say, thank you for everything that you did for our football club. And I just think that's wonderful, isn't it? It's wonderful for any footballer, isn't it? You know, when somebody praises you for what you did, and it's real hero worship and there's real love there.
Because, see, like, footballers can earn all the money they want, right? And obviously that's a big part of it, and, you know, I'm not going to shy away from that, but, like, when you're retired, it's probably the memories and the impact you've made that's going to stick with you. And I think people like, I mean, Joe Hart's going to have people coming up to him for the rest of his life when he's wherever he is in the world, saying, "Oh, by the way, just thanks for what you did for Celtic." There's going to be more Celtic fans do that than Man City, for example, and stuff like that's going to live with you. And it's there for Kasper Schmeichel as well. I think the thing I always in the back of my mind with these kind of, whatever you want to call them, big name signings, and we've had a number of them over the years, do they come with the right attitude? Because if you don't come with the right attitude to Scottish football, people talk Scottish football down south, fine, but if you don't come to Scottish football with the right attitude and willing to, you know, get stuck in and all of that stuff, and really give it the respect it does deserve, you'll be eaten up by Scottish football. We've seen that more across the city with the likes of Joey Barton and a number of other players. But I think the thing with Kasper Schmeichel is he's going to arrive with the right attitude. He's that experienced. He's not going to be looking at Celtic as any sort of step down. I think it's, someone was asking there, is Celtic the biggest club Kasper Schmeichel has ever played for? Undoubtedly. I mean, I know he's played for Man City, but Celtic are a far bigger club in terms of the support. City have just got money, so I think he's going to love it. I think he's going to be great.
It's that legacy when you finish and you hang up your boots, Hamish. Did you make an impact? Did you leave a legacy? You might have played for certain clubs and you might have earned a fortune, but you might never have won anything. And you know, you were passing goal and collecting 200. You know, to be as base as that, and we get that Celtic are fighting against that with clubs who are far richer and bigger in terms of finance, but there are a few bigger clubs than Celtic in terms of prestige, in terms of passion, in terms of the challenge, and in terms of, you know, a legacy that you want to leave with, and as you say, with a group of supporters worldwide who will shake your hand and buy you a drink every time they see you. You won't reach into your pocket, so you'll still keep all your money. You know what I mean? So weirdly, but And I just don't think they grasp it until they're part of it, till they're in that vortex, and then we realise this is something really special. The manager said it himself when he left. He hurt a few people, and he came back because he doesn't want his legacy to be tarnished by the way he left, which is why he's back. And it's the pull of this football club, the gravitational pull, and just you're going to play in America, you're going to play thousands of people. I wrote yesterday about that very fact that the world's the world's local club, Celtic, because there's Celtic fans everywhere. And Kasper Schmeichel has been told this by Joe Hart, and he's now going to experience that. And you can tell that he's excited by it. And from his early, interview, the early words, he's relishing that challenge. He's coming up with the right attitude because he's spoken to a man who came with the right attitude, and he'll say, if you do this, you will experience the same as me, and you will love it. And I think the player will probably think to himself, I'm 37, I still want to be playing when I'm 39, 40. Here's hoping it's with Celtic. And that's hopefully what's going through Kasper Schmeichel's mind right now. He has to be successful, though.
Yeah, he does, and the hard work starts. That's the thing. Joe Hart worked hard for his rewards. So yeah, bring it on. Right, your comments, questions, etc. Let's just rattle through them for a good 10 minutes or so before we go. Celt 88. I don't know, Bernardo tonight. Do you want to add a little bit to that? Celt 88. Do you mean Bernardo signing tonight, or have you heard something? Are you going to get as excited? Is Bernardo doing something tonight, Tony? Can you decipher that two-word comment?
I'm hoping he's thinking that he has some insider knowledge that Bernardo will sign tonight, or he'll arrive tonight, something like that. But again, another one which has been boiling away, hasn't it, under the surface. So if he does come in, it won't be a great surprise, will
it? No, we want that in as soon as possible. Natalie, good morning. Do you think we will sign the Antwerp player? Michael Ange Balikvisha was his name. Not heard any more about that over the past couple of days, but the initial report, I think, came from Belgium.
Yeah, tentative talks, they said, wasn't it? They might have some dialogue. Clearly a player on a list. If Celtic want him, they will go and get him, but they may be sounding them out, see how much they want. And obviously as well, they do have wingers. Brendan might want to have a look, but I think it's just one of those, someone's got some information and they've put it out there, and it's certainly early stages, isn't it, in that kind of if there's going to be a deal proffered or offered on the table. I would watch that one with interest, but certainly not anything that's imminent to me anyway.
I'd certainly want a winger in. We've spoken about that. James Forrest, fine. Was great at the end of last season. I think he'll have a bigger part to play this season. I hope he does. He showed he's far from finished last season. Dyson Maeda, I love him. Yeah, he's got his faults, but I just love the guy. But other than that, I've not got much faith in any of the other wingers. Now, some of them, one of them may surprise me. Nicholas Kuhn may go on to have a good season. I really hope he does. Palma could do it. Yang could do it. But I'm not hanging my hat on any of those guys, and I think you need more than that. So I'd want a new option in. I liked the look of Balikwisha without knowing much about him. I liked how direct he looked. The fact he was trying to, give the ball inside and run onto it. He wasn't just looking at his pass. He looked like he was really keen to score goals. I'm not sure a lot of our wingers are keen to score goals as much as they should be. James Forrest is. Other than that, Palma, I guess, takes a lot of shots. Nicholas Kuhn, is there enough of an urge to score goals there? Has Yang even scored for us yet? So I think I'd want a player with a real eye for goal, because Jota and Lila Bada as well, they really chipped in with goals. It wasn't a reliance on Kyogo. It was kind of Kyogo would score 20 odd goals and Jota would have 15, Abada would have 15. I feel we've lost that out the team since both those guys have left.
They were big game players as well, Hamish. They turned up on big occasions. Against Rangers and in Europe as well, weighing in with big goals. So, I'm just not confident that any of the wingers at the club will do that at this moment in time. either domestically or in Europe.
What is this chat about Adam Ida? You're all getting worried, and when Steve McGrory, the voice of reason, is getting worried, Tony, I'm starting to get worried. I personally think that the Ida boat has sailed, but even if it hasn't, a cut price move for Tommy Conway would be a good move. IMHO. Scott saying, not panicking, but how long should we wait in Norwich for Ida? You sound like you're panicking a wee bit, Scott. That's all right. Listen, it's fine to be a little bit worried. There was another comment as well about Ida. People just seem to be getting a little bit worried that the Ida stuff isn't going to happen. I honestly, I think we all just need to chill out a wee bit. I'm pretty sure Adam Ida's going to be coming in. I've not seen anything to change my mind. Maybe is it the quotes from the Norwich manager people are reading into a little bit. I think we're going to sign Adam Ida. I just wish we would have done it by now.
Yeah, and Adam Ida, another Instagram cryptic. He responded to Lewis Palmer with Spanish for brother, didn't he? When he put up, Lewis Palmer put up on Instagram and he put brother in Spanish, I believe. So lots of people reading into that as brother, teammate, all that kind of stuff. So read what you want. But yeah, I'm like you, Hamish. I'm convinced that Celtic will sign Adam Ida. I think we're just getting to the nitty-gritty of the negotiations now. And I think Celtic really do need to say, what's you wanting for this guy? What price do we do a deal? And then go and do the deal. Because Norwich, of course, are going to say that they've got that they want him to stay on all that kind of stuff. I get all that. Celtic are saying lots of support saying move on from Ida, they want Majowski, all sorts. But I just think the optics on it look poor if Brendan Rodgers doesn't get the man that he's, after the cup final, said they know how I feel about it, the board knows how I feel about it. So I think it's time to just put up or shut up. And if they are not going to sign Adam Ida, then they do need to move on. The season's 2 weeks away, just over 2 or 3 weeks away, and they need another striker in. This deal needs to be done. And I still believe and I maintain that Adam Ida will become a Celtic player. That's been my thoughts since he scored the winner in the Scottish Cup final in May. Nothing that I read or see tells me any differently. And, it would be kind of neglect of the highest order if Celtic do move on from Adam Ida with no one else in mind. But I just think they've spent an awful lot of time chewing the fat over this one, and lots of public declarations by Norwich, and Celtic are the only ones that haven't really said anything apart from making the initial $4.5 million offer, which I thought was derisory to say the least. The player, whether you want to accept it or not, the player's worth between 6 and 7 million. Celtic have that money. Let's do the business.
Yeah, I think we're going to get it done. I was being a little bit flippant there. I get why folk are getting a little bit kind of concerned, because you would hope that it would have been done by now, and I feel the same way. I don't know. I just feel relatively calm that he's going to be playing for us. But the big thing I wanted to avoid was it dragging out all summer, and that is still a concern for me. I think we'll sign Adam Ida before the league opener, and I kind of really hope that is the case, because if not, it's certainly dragging on far too long. Just on the striker stuff, Hazel at the start of the stream just saying, do you think we should be looking to sign another striker out with Ida? Personally, I don't think we will get him. Oh, not you as well, Hazel. Come on. If we do, it's a bonus. People obviously looking at Miovski as well. Do you think two strikers? I mean, is two strikers realistic? Is there any chance of Celtic signing two strikers?
No. In an ideal world, I want them to. I've said that before. I would sign them both. And, but I just don't think that'll happen. I'm still convinced they'll sign Adam Ida, and I don't think they would spend £7 or £8 million on Miovski, which is what Aberdeen would want. What they would get is another matter, but that's certainly what they would want to try and price Celtic out of a deal like that. So, and you can understand that, because Celtic do the exact same thing when they're trying to sell their players. So you can't accuse clubs of overpricing their assets when Celtic command top dollar for theirs and drive a hard bargain. When other clubs do it with us for theirs, then it's all part of the negotiation process, isn't it? So yeah, I still maintain Alameda will be a Celtic player by you said by the start of the season. I think so too. At some point on this American tour, he'll be flying to join up with his Celtic teammates. That's my thoughts. As I say, I've not deviated from that. And until somebody from Celtic says they are moving on, then I will cling to that, as they say, because I believe the manager wants him and I believe the player wants to play for Celtic. Up to the two clubs to thrash out a bargain, not a deal.
Yeah, Monty just talking about that. How long does it take to make a bid? If Norwich want 6 or 7 million, then why have we not bid 6 or 7 million? Monty, who knows? To me, that would be a pretty obvious thing to do. We're not learning. I wonder why that is. Peter Law, perhaps. Yeah, who knows what's going on in the background? For me, and I think a lot of fans, we just find it quite frustrating. Just get the player in. Rodgers wants him. As long as Norwich aren't completely ripping it with us and asking for an astronomical fee, get the money paid and get him in. He should be in by now. That's what I'm saying. He should be in by now. I'm not completely excusing the club, but I do think we'll get it done. John, bottom line, please everyone, don't get your knickers in a twist about the games in the States. They are training games. Players are missing. Results don't matter. More important, we get recruitment in. I'm sure if we get a scudding from Manchester City and Erling Haaland scores 8 goals, people will definitely be very reasonable in their thoughts and all that kind of stuff. Chris is loving the content, boys. Listen most days. Thanks very much, Chris. I don't think I've seen your name before, Chris. Are you familiar with Chris, Tony?
No, but that's a very kind compliment, and we'll take that and say thank you. And it's always humbling when people say that about us and to us. So yeah, we appreciate. I see it a lot. We can't do it without people coming into the group chat and commenting and contributing. There's nearly 600 people who are watching our live stream at 10 in the morning. I just think that's wonderful, and the numbers that they do once they go onto YouTube and all the social media platforms, we are very proud of that. And Hamish is a big part of that, having came on board. Ryan, myself, Joe now part of that, and all the other Kevin contributors that come on. We try and we do it as honestly and openly and as passionately and as humorously as possible. And we're glad that people respond to that, and it's always nice when people say nice things.
Yeah, much appreciated. Just a couple more before we go. Danielle, is there any truth in the Ndidi, Wilfred Ndidi? I've seen that when I was in Leicester. I think there were reports. I think they were rubbished pretty quickly. Yeah. Also,
Brendan Rodgers worked with Ndidi before in the same way that he'd worked with Kasper Schmeichel.
Just getting the band back together. Jamie Vardy.
Something like that, yeah, exactly. But yeah, listen, that was rubbish, wasn't it, Ndidi? So he maybe be on too much money as well. So.
Finally, Son of Scotland, Hamish, where is CCV? No mention of him. I assume he's on his holidays right now. I think he played last on the 1st of July. He didn't actually play for the US in that game at Copa America. So, if he's been given, what do they give, 2-3 weeks off, something like that, for the kind of international players, he should be nearly finished. I'm guessing he'll be part of the US tour, maybe for the Man City game in midweek.
Possibly, yeah, because they get knocked out early, didn't they? America, they get knocked out the first phase, didn't they, of the Copa America?
Yeah, they did.
So he would have got that time from then. Because Canada advanced further than Brendan Rodgers thought they would, I don't think he's taking part in the American tour. So, but yeah, I think CCV will be back for the last game that's Manchester City, isn't it? Or was it Chelsea?
No, last game's Chelsea. So it goes DC, Man City,
Chelsea. Yeah, I would expect to see him back for either one of those games, but probably the Chelsea one. Although we would want him back to play against Erling Haaland, wouldn't we?
Yeah, if he even plays, I'm trying to talking myself into the idea of Pep Guardiola putting out some reserves. Now, I always enjoy seeing us up against the best, and it's pre-season, so the worst that can happen is we get a total pasting against probably the best team in world football at the moment, and we learn from it and hopefully avoid them in the Champions League. Just finally, I did say finally, but this is finally. James, we weren't ready last season. Look what happened. Kelly pumped us out the League Cup. Stuttering into the new season is not acceptable. I guess a big part of the kind of start we made to the season and that Kelly defeat was the kind of personnel we had on the pitch. We had a few players leave us, Starfelt, Jota, Moy, who weren't replaced properly. And I remember that Kelly game, like we had a number of new signings in who'd just come in, and that affected us that day, I think, along with just a general bad performance. So I think that's one of the reasons we want players in early. We don't really want players coming in at the end of the window and having to get up to speed, because you're not too far away from the Champions League starting at that point. So I think we want players in early. Hopefully by Monday, Tony, we'll have another signing in. Is that ambitious?
I would want 2 or 3. That's just me.
By Monday?
By Monday, yes. I want a whole load of business done over the weekend. Just because I wouldn't say I'm panicking or I'm impatient. I would just like it done for peace of mind.
Yeah.
Here's hoping at least one would do. One would make me happy. That one being Adamida, to be fair, I have to say.
Yeah.
I might relax a bit more if that actually happens,
Yeah. Right, okay, that'll do us for today. Thanks everyone for tuning in, comment, giving us stuff to talk about. And enjoy your weekend. Same goes for you, Tony, and we'll catch up next week. We'll have stuff to talk about, and we'll obviously have a couple of big games against English Premier League opposition to look forward to as well. The game is Sunday for you lot in Scotland in the same kind of time zone. Sunday at midnight. I've explained that terribly, but half an hour after midnight, Saturday going into Sunday. Celtic TV, DC United versus Celtic. Anything else, Tony?
No, everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for your comments in the section, and thanks for your famous autographs. Quite liked that as well. That was all good.
Yeah.
Too. So have a good one, and we shall reconvene and we'll talk everything DC United on Monday.
We will do. Right, thanks everyone. Have a good weekend.